because, I thought this little 17-game ending of the first half was the underbelly of their schedule. So I was hoping maybe 12-5, I don't know, 13-4. And here we are. They split these last two series. It's win 2, lose 3, win 2. And that's exactly right. They are exactly what you said they are. They are a Midland 500 team, and there's a whole bunch of them. And they bring out this guy, Eric Wars, yesterday. I'm like, I thought Mendoza was going to walk out and look up into the booth with Gary Cohen and see Jerry Blevins up there.
Yeah, just bring him out.
Pull him out and throw him out there. At least I think he may be able to get an out. Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Boomer.
I'm all about the analytics. I'm a Mr. Analytics.
You love analytics now?
I love analytics, and I love like stats and whip and war and I like ERA and I also like average.
Okay.
Those things don't seem to matter anymore. When I see an ERA of INF and a whip of INF, what does that mean?
That's infinity, Boomer.
What?
Yes, this was even confusing to Al Dukes this morning, surprisingly enough, and he's a big analytics baseball guy, as CeeLo was explaining to him that INF is infinity.
Oh, I had no idea. I did not. I'm sorry, Al. I did not listen.
No, I'm with you. I have just no idea.
Infinity.
All right. Okay. So
he didn't get it out.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. It was his first time out. I feel the inner athlete in me feels
you
like,
feel
okay.
bad for him?
Yeah, because, I didn't play that great the first time I got out into a real game, and they kept giving me a chance, not because I was a first-round draft pick, because I wasn't. I don't know if you knew that. But I guess they really didn't have anybody else. They had to keep trotting me out there, and it wasn't the prettiest thing my rookie year, but, I feel bad for this young man. That part of me feels bad for him, but it's a reoccurring problem.
Well, yeah, you're mad.
For our New York Mets.
Right. I think you're frustrated and mad that this keeps happening with the Mets. That's the thing. Personally, you don't hate this guy for what happened. It's more about what the Mets have been this entire year. Yes, ask me another question.
All right, so I'm going to ask you, how many pitchers do you think the Mets have used this year? In one capacity.
We're talking
about one capacity or another, either starting or relieving. And this guy obviously now is the last of that the group that now he's been added on to the group.
23.
No.
27.
No.
More?
30.
Okay.
Now, I think the Yankees have probably used about 26 or 27, so it's not uncommon that teams are going to be using a lot of pitchers.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what is happening. I have no idea what's happening to the position. It's unbelievable. Now, we look at batting averages. We see a lot of guys hitting around 210. Nobody seems to give a crap. If all these guys are hitting like 210 and nobody's hitting 350, nobody's hitting 340, the far majority of the league is somewhere around 200. Why did the Met pitchers suck so bad?
Well, it's mostly the relievers. You did have the other side of this in Christian Scott, who was in command of the entire game, and he was awesome. They've got a terrible bullpen, and there's just not enough good pitchers in middle relief and in relief in general in Major League Baseball.
So I think it's we're referring to Mendoza as Mendy now. That seems like to be
who is.
Well, the station.
Oh, everybody says Mendy?
Yeah, Mendy. Everybody's calling him Mendy. You know how when people call people Cash?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Cash?
They call him Cash as opposed to Brian Cashman.
Like when some people say Booney?
Booney, yes.
Booney and Cash.
Right, so now we got Mendy.
And
we're a bunch of hockey players around here calling each other nicknames.
Well, we don't have to call him Mendy if we don't want to.
All right, but I'm not going to blame Carlos Mendoza. I'm just not going to.
Yeah, you have to blame the state of the game if you're going to blame anybody.
I'm not blaming
from
him, and the reason I'm not blaming him is because they knew going in that they were only going to allow Hauser to go, 75 pitches. They knew going in.
Yeah, it's Christian Scott.
Christian Scott.
Yeah.
I keep saying Hauser.
Yeah.
Christian Scott, 75 pitches. They knew it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they're in a tight game, and this is who they have to bring in. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't something that's going on all across Major League Baseball, because I do believe that it is.
Oh, yes, for years and years. I think that everybody understands that.
This is like the worst I've ever seen.
And especially on a team like this. Like the Mets they're just not going anywhere. I've said that consistently. I'm glad that they have a summer and a season now that they're 500, but they're not going to the playoffs. They're not going anywhere. So you want to protect a young pitcher, and this is what teams do. And they even tried to, put in a situation where you've got whatchamacallit. What's his name? The guy who came in, the guy who's got the infinity ERA.
Eric Orrs.
I forget his name already.
Orrs.
Anyway,
Orrs,
right?
Orrs.
So they even tried to put Orrs in a situation with 2 outs and nobody on.
Exactly.
It's not like they brought him in, bases loaded, nobody out. For God's sakes.
I just want to say, couldn't you let Scott just go like one more guy?
Yeah, I know.
Let him get through the innings.
Well, I think that they did. I guess there was 75. They went to 77, and they were probably.
My God.
They were. I know.
God.
I'm not trying to defend it. It's the silliest thing. I just feel like we do this every year, going around and around with this stuff. This is what the game is.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Oh, just the
I've
third
got another
one
question for you. Yeah,
okay.
I got to ask you another question.
Am I giving you good answers?
Just answer your own question
Shut
already.
up! Yes, you are. You're answering the question.
Okay.
I have
All
to
right.
ask you this because you're my go-to guy for the Mets. If you
Sure.
weren't sitting here, I'd be calling up Evan or I'd be listening to the Rico. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be doing that at all.
I'm your go-to guy for the Mets. Oh, God.
How about, was it Michael Tonkin on the Mets earlier in the season?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was horrendous. He was horrendous.
You know how many times he pitched for the Mets this year?
How many times?
How many appearances?
I don't know how many outings he had. I don't remember.
Like 5.
Okay.
You know how many he's got for the Yankees?
Just tell me. I don't
24.
Yeah, well, they're using him. I mean, it's not like he's
doing
lighting
okay.
the world on fire.
I know, but God
okay.
Almighty, I mean, he was on the staff.
Yeah, I mean, he was horrendous for the Mets.
This is David Stearns doing his thing, like just churning and burning, moving guys around, bringing guys in, getting rid of guys.
Yeah, I mean, and it's worked to a certain degree because they got themselves back in a conversation for a wild card. They don't. The bullpen is so bad, and that includes Edwin Diaz this year. The bullpen is so bad, they'll never be able to sustain enough winning for the rest of the year to get into the playoffs.
Here's why Diaz has screwed the team. He screwed the team because he was terrible before he got suspended. Then he got suspended, left them a man short, and then came back and almost blew his second save opportunity.
Yeah, I wonder if he is someone, if the Mets do have a bad rest of July, if he's someone that is desirable to another team with the way that he has pitched this year, coming off a major injury with the money that he's making. I'm going to say probably not.
I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't think anybody's going to want him.
Yeah, that's the thing. But
right now,
I'd love to get rid of him.
But wait a minute, time out. I mean, last year he was the best.
No, he wasn't. He was injured the entire year.
I mean, the year before that.
Long time ago.
Timmy Trumpets. Can you believe that was 2 years ago?
Yeah,
that was 2 years ago. Didn't they win 110 games that year?
101 games.
101 games.
101 games, yes.
Right. Okay.
And then, of course, got their asses handed to them by the
0 in that.
Yeah, their asses handed to them by the San Diego Padres. I'll never forget that Friday night. Max Scherzer gave up to 10,000 runs in 2 innings. I mean, that was just. Ugh. So anyway.
All right. Okay. So where are we? What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
We got 7 games left, right? Before the All-Star break.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do we need here? What do we need from them? You know how I like to look ahead at the schedule.
I mean, win, go 6-1 or 7-0.
I mean, they're playing Colorado for God's sake. They got Washington and Colorado now.
This is what I'm saying.
A little bit of a thorn in their side.
So it's 6 games.
Oh, 6 games. Okay.
6 games.
3-3.
No, they can't go 3-3 in these 6 games.
No, I know. I have 3 against Washington, 3 against Colorado.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean 5-1, 6-0. You want to feel good about the team going into the break? That's what you need right there. Because 4-2 only get you a game over 500 at this point.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what they've been. Mm-hmm. So let's put together a big winning streak. But the problem is, when your bullpen is that bad, it's impossible to piece together something like they did already earlier in the year. I don't think it's going to happen again.